Now, over here in the upper left, in the blue, it is Stardust. And in the bottom right, in the red, he is MMA.
MMA doesn't really have that many weaknesses. I think the one biggest weakness he'll have coming into this series is just maybe Stardust's element of surprise. If he gets caught off guard and not really expecting what to come, then he's at his weakest. If he knows what's going on throughout the entire of the game at all points, MMA has the correct responses at all times.
Yeah, I got to agree. MMA is a very well-rounded player. There's certainly no real weaknesses, you could say. So we have the barracks going down now.
Should
Stardust,
be for a Reaper opening.
Yeah, should be. You can get in there and scout and see what's going on. Now, with the Cybernetics core finishing up, we're probably going to see them what the exact tech is. There's a lot of different ways you can play PvT, a lot of different ways to abuse a Terran, especially based off the structure of the map. And Stardust, out of all these players, I think is the hardest to predict.
He is.
It's not just that he cheeses, it's the cheese he chooses to use and how he executes it.
And he can also not cheese too. He can play a completely normal game, and if MMA overreacts in terms of his defense and scouting, he could find himself in a further behind position. But MMA in this game has chosen no Reaper. He's going to go one barracks command center.
Okay.
It's better for your economy, obviously, because you get the faster command center
Well,
down.
you skip the scouting, but you get
skip the scouting.
You get that base up.
Which is a little bit dangerous against a player like
to be honest,
Stardust.
Apollo, I'm a little bit surprised he's going with this build against Stardust in Game 1. Okay, Game 1 obviously sets the tempo for the best of 5, but everybody knows that Stardust does some cheesy stuff here. It seems like this would be a build that certainly Stardust could exploit.
Yeah, he may plan an engineering bay block here with an SCV moving out. Could delay the second base a lot of Stardust.
I think that's exactly
no,
what he wants to do.
Go in the main.
Okay, but is he going to see the probe and turn around? Nope, he just goes right down.
All right, so he's going to go in and just see one gas. That's a completely normal opening here from Stardust, and the SCV won't get any more information. The Zealot, Stalker, and Mothership Core will push this back before any tech choice is chosen.
Yeah.
So ideally, this SCV would like to go and hide and then come in at a later time to hopefully see that tech choice once that Cyber Core completes.
So these probes are going to drive out this SCV. The SCV, though, just buying a little bit of time, and the Nexus goes down. And Terran's in the dark, Apollo.
He is in the dark.
He does not know what is coming his way.
So the only way he can be in the light is if that SCV goes back in or he lands a perfect scan. But with a perfect scan, you've got to be lucky.
Yeah, he did get to see where some of the pylons were, so he could try to predict where the tech might be. But then with a player like Stardust, who does do all sorts of unorthodox strategies, you know he's probably going to account for that and put his tech somewhere different. If he chooses to do a weird game, that's the other problem with Stardust, too. Sometimes he does play a normal game.
And that's funny because we're thinking along the lines that Stardust is going to do that, and I'm really sure MMA is as well.
Yeah,
because it's just Stardust. That's who he is. But he may not do that, which we'll find out.
And then, you know, being overly cautious, that could be a double-edged sword because you might be defending for something that's just not even coming your way.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're just taking a lead by macroing up. So we have that third barracks about to finish up here.
Yeah, choosing 3 over 2. 2 gives you faster medivacs, but is more risky because you have less units. But choosing 3 is much safer and just gives you simply more units out. Twilight Council.
Twilight Council is going to be the way he's going to go.
So it should be a Blink opening. Obviously could go to DTs, but Blink is usually the more common here. And his SCV kind of moving out. Going to touch this out. No, he's going to move around. So this is going to be looking, by the looks of it, for the third potentially, if there is a fast third coming in. And then he may try to sneak in.
Now, the Twilight Council is done. We're waiting to see what the next step is from here for him.
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for that 150 gas. Should be Blink.
And it would make sense, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have...
but MMA is going to move in, but
DTs.
What does he really see?
Yeah, not much so far. He comes in here, says, okay, no gases here. SCV is going to come up here and get shot down immediately by this SCV.
So does he want to scan
Stalker,
after this? Does he want to try and scan?
I think he should scan.
He's got his Marines.
The probe's going to come in here.
Yeah, the Marines are in position to defend
against
Oracles.
He could have actually gone to the main there with that probe.
Oh, he's going to
try it. Is he actually going to get up there?
He's like, a quick look
all right,
down
so
here.
see, yep, there's Marines over there.
Yeah.
Well, this is awkward.
Sees the factory timing. It's a free scout. He sees the 3 barracks, sees the factory timing.
A little bit weird there from MMA.
Yeah. Protecting himself against Oracles, if there were Oracles to fly in.
Sure. But, yeah, that probe actually got all the way up there. All right. So, we're going to go for the Blink here. Yeah, and he's going to get that Robo. It's going to finish up in a little bit.
To Blink, which is pretty big here. It's
this is
just
not a Blink
gateway. No. So it could force MMA to play overly defensive against something that isn't intense.
And with the forges coming up here, Stardust is going to go into a late game PBT.
Double upgrades. Going to use Blink defensively in this game more so than aggressively.
We have seen a lot of Protosses just stay on 2 base for a long time against Terran. They don't want to deal with the drops. They want to get as much of their tech up here. That was a really nice scan, by the way.
Sees everything.
Yeah, he sees everything he needs to see.
That was a brilliant
scan.
scan.
Robo-Bay, the 2 forges, and he saw Blink was being upgraded.
So he knows that he
exactly
doesn't need additional bunkers.
Yeah.
I mean, he sees it's just one gateway, and then there's double forge and robotic space, so it's like a kind of opening that could trick MMA into complete greed from Stardust. All this off a single gateway is incredibly risky if there was units to move out on the other side.
Well, MMA is going to keep powering up. He's about to connect the starport to the reactor here.
And he's chosen a 4th and 5th barracks on top of this. Instead of a 3rd command center, he's choosing additional barracks, additional units, and additional pressure. He knows the greed of Stardust. He needs to do damage in the next few minutes. Upgrades are going to complete, Colossus are going to be out, but until they are, Stardust is relatively weak.
That's true. Yeah, he's very fragile. Oh, gets that SCV. Yeah, he needs to get, for instance, that Colossus tech, like you're saying, up, and then he has the power to actually blow the army. But I do like the build that Stardust went for. He just has a few Stalkers that he can use to control the Terran, to keep him inside of his base, take out SCVs like we saw back there. You know, it's a little bit trickier for the Terran to move out, even with, let's say, a medevac when this is going on, because the Stalkers could have blinked under it, for instance.
Right.
So now that he has a bigger army and he's moving this all out together on the map, he's going to have to go back home, Stardust is, and get into a defensive spot.
This is MMA's timing window. He needs to get damage done. He has to. Otherwise, like I said, the 1-1's going to be done. 2-2's going to be on the way. Colossus are going to be out. He's got his 3rd command center coming in, so it's not like he has to kill his opponent right now, but he has to slow Stardust down. Otherwise, Stardust 100% goes into a massive lead in this mid-game.
All right, Stardust is in a defensive position. Now, we've seen players like MMA do this before. They'll push up the front, pick up boost, bam, in the main.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to do it this time, but it's definitely something that Stardust is going to have to watch out for.
Any mistakes from MMA, and because there's Blink Stalkers, he can lose a lot of units.
That was interesting. He used the boost a little bit too early there to back away.
And
he's actually being driven out now.
And this is very good for Stardust. That was a very easy pushback.
I have to say, that was much easier than I thought it was going to be for him. But MMA clearly came up and looked at the situation and said, I don't want to risk anything.
A little bit too easy, I think, there.
Yeah, maybe.
And now 2-2 on the way when there's only just that +1 attack finish for MMA and just +1 armor starting, or kind of halfway through.
Well, we've got more medevacs out now, so he can start to drop in different locations and really hurt him.
He has to hurt him still.
And this is a good time for him to do that, as the 3rd base is going to finish soon here. That's when Protoss might be spread too thin.
That's right.
Protoss, I don't want to say too greedy, but this is certainly something that's going to be safer if he gets to the end game here.
Stardust planting a counter-attack pylon here for a couple of zealots to bring MMA back and keep his focus off attacking.
Just peeks in there and sees that there is a 3rd base up and running there. Although I do wonder, I was going to say, if he sent the probe over there, it is a pretty big tell that there's a pylon out.
He picks that up. Stardust out of position, though, in the center of the map, and these 2 medevacs are full. And there's also 2 on the left-hand side. This is
the moment that MMA can punish Stardust. We have medevacs over here at the upper right, and medevacs there in the center left. And they're coming out into the main.
Oh, he's found the double forges as well.
Oh, my God. If he gets these forges, that would be huge. Nexus cannon put down. He picks up. He backs out. The 2 medevacs survive. Meanwhile, back in the main, 1 forge down. Another one goes down as well.
Big pickup. Big pickup.
Oh, wow. Nice by Stardust, though. He did clean up that medevac.
Yeah, he gets both the forges, so he's reset the upgrades to 1-1, and they were about to complete as well. But he did lose a lot of units in that as well, so he has to be careful a little bit, of course, if Stardust was to push out, but good move from MMA.
Yeah, MMA taking out those forges is pretty huge. And the fact that he's continuing to do this is also great. He's dropping it over here now, just taking out a few probes. And he should be able to just boost and get out of here pretty easily.
Yep.
And this is really keeping the Protoss back at home. We don't have, I believe, any proxy pylons on the map at all, right? So
I think that there was maybe 1 on the right-hand side, but that's the
last there it is, 1 up there. Okay.
Not very useful. That's more so
you're not going to warp in a bunch of zealots there and actually do much damage. But nothing there at the bottom left. Yeah. So he's not going to be able to do anything unless he pushes out with his main army here. So Terran right now with map control.
Yep, he's the snipe on the forges. I cannot stress how important that was for this game. Very, very important for MMA, equalizing the upgrade rush.
Yeah, that was key. So the 2 forges are up again. MMA is powering like crazy. Look at this.
Yeah. He's going to have a very big force here, and to be honest, the Viking count I think is starting to rise quite heavily. Stardust may want to think about maybe switching over to Templar Archive soon, get some High Templar and Storms in the mix. Especially with this army
Storms
size
would
growing.
definitely be helpful here because there's just so much, such a large amount of infantry. If you could just get some blanket storms there and just stay in a defensive spot, let the Terran feed into him.
And MMA is expecting that to happen. He's just finished up with the Ghost Academy, yet the Templar Archives isn't even in play yet.
For supplies, we have MMA at 187, almost maxing out. And then, as I say, that Stardust begins to catch up now to 178.
Stardust really focusing on Stalker production to get rid of the Vikings to make sure his Colossus are the ones dealing the damage here.
Okay, the Zealots are coming up now. The Stalkers blink forward. The Vikings are hitting the Colossi, but there's still 3 Colossi remaining. And, you know, that just not enough Vikings doing enough damage to the Zealots still in the front, pushing the Marines and the Marauders back as the Colossi are now dishing out so much damage.
Yeah.
When he engaged there were not enough Vikings.
No, there were not.
Even if the Vikings, some of them weren't being shot down, it was those Colossi were not going to die fast enough for that to be effective. So a bit of a misplay there from him to engage there.
Yeah, a little bit of a trade-off there. They're still very similar in supply, but he has to rebuild a lot of those Vikings, which are not medivacs, so he's in a little bit of a danger position currently, MMA, because of that fight. Well, I mean, his army's caught out of position.
Yeah, and you can see there's no medivacs here to pick up. So he's forced into engaging here. This is 4 Colossi, that one injured Colossi in the middle, still not dead. In fact, you can see the damage is being distributed throughout the Colossi. They're all either losing shields or some HP.
Oh, this is massive. This is so bad for MMA after losing that fight there. He's got no army.
MMA is playing so well. He's doing all the right things as far as, you know, teching up. He's macroing well. But when it came to the engagement, it was pretty sloppy there. We see the medivacs picking up. He's going to go over here into the expansion, and that would trigger Stardust come right up in here as he says, okay, if your army's in those medivacs, it's certainly not back here in your base. I'm too close to your base. I'll just kill you this way.
2 bad fights here, and Stardust is going to walk over MMA. Really unfortunate there for MMA, but Stardust capitalizing on the weaknesses and the mistakes of MMA.
Well, you know, from here, the second base has been taken out. The Protoss has 2 options. He can try to push up the ramp if he wants to and get on top of the barracks and kill the Terran that way, or he can go down here to the third. This drop has happened, and these are just Zealots, by the way, so this is not as easy, you know, for the Protoss to hold. But with Terran having no bases back at home...
Yeah, he's lost his second base. He's going to lose his third, but the Vikings are getting close to the Colossus. They've picked one of them off, and there's not that many Stalkers.
Only 3 remaining so far. The drop up here is doing a good amount of damage, but it seems like Stardust is just 2 ahead. Stardust handling this really well. With MMA not having his second base anymore, he's going to have to remake that. But
it's a lot of Vikings.
I think Stardust could regroup. Let's see. You're right, Apollo. This is a lot of Vikings.
Yeah, but 3-3 is very soon to finish for Stardust. If that completes, then there's no way MMA can take a good fight. But at this point, as the Colossus are retreating, he is picking up 1 or 2.
Yeah, he started to get a little bit better with his army control there.
He didn't die in that. He did kind of run away and hide inside his main base.
And, you know, despite the damage that he took, the worker count's even.
Yeah.
It's 58 and 60.
That is good. Stardust with the upgrade advantage, the kind of army strength advantage as well.
What do you think about this command center at the center right that's going to be taking this other base? You think it's a good place to expand?
Yeah.
Or should he have been taking the bottom left?
I think the bottom left is the more expected one to take, so this may not get spotted as easily.
He may be taking this just because he wants to continue to push up towards the 4th.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying that, Stardust is already now in the middle of the map, pushing down with a pretty intimidating army.
3-3's completed, and MMA still only on 2-2.
Okay, I should have seen those medevacs coming by. He's going to regroup now. And you can see both these players really erring on the side of caution with engagements now. Things can fall apart very quickly when you have 2 maxed out armies.
Stardust
or MMA getting close to that, at least.
Yeah, one mistake can cost you the game here, but MMA can't defend this area. There's an observer seeing the entire army. It's not that.
Oh, you're right. Look at that. It's actually right-clicked on the army.
Yeah, there's not that large of an army here for MMA.
And so he looks at this and he says, "Oh, I can make this work." The command center is going to be picked up. The Zealots, the Stalkers, the Colossi are coming forward now. We have a drop over here to try to draw Stardust's attention away.
And he's maxed out, so he actually can't warp in to defend that right now. So that's a bit of a problem here for Stardust.
I think the big question, though, is does that matter? It's just Protoss Deathball just going to come down here and wipe out this expansion here at the bottom, and Terran's going to be out of luck. The SCVs, he's going to have to pick him up in medevacs if he wants to save him right now, especially the way he's positioned back here. The Colossi is going to wreck this.
There's only Colossus, though. That's the only splash damage hit, and now it's just Stalkers. There's one Colossus at the back there, but this is a very good fight for MMA if he can get rid of the Zealots there.
Stardust not quite on top of his army. Okay, so we see the Colossus up at the very, very top got taken out.
That one Colossus, though.
It seems like he wasn't. Stardust wasn't controlling his army for most of that battle.
Yeah, that was a very good fight for MMA, but look at the supply. It's 30 to 130 here for Stardust.
Yeah, and that's going to be a GG.
Stardust takes game number 1
Nicely done by Stardust.
But it was Stardust who, I started to fall behind entering the mid-game after those Forge snipes, but the fights that MMA took just were not good for him.
Yeah, we saw the Vikings hitting the Colossi in that middle part of the map, and there were so many Colossi. It just does like to do that. On to introducing our players over here in the upper left. In the red, he is MMA. And in the bottom right, in the blue, our Protoss player, Stardust.
This music is epic.
Yeah, this is epic. I had to stop.
Dun, 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 dun. Stardust is going to win.
Well, I know we were both saying MMA was looking pretty strong to win this, but Stardust, for a not cheesy game and not wonky game, he played brilliantly. So we may be eating our words here. We'll have to find out. We got the barracks coming down here. They are in cross spots.
And it is going to be a Reaper opening from MMA. So he's chosen here to go towards more scouting at intel in this game. And that's funny because he's playing against the normal way Terrans play on this map. A normal Terran or a standard kind of opening on this map is either command center first or one barracks command center because of how easy it is to take a second base here. So if Stardust is thinking his opponent's playing like that, when in reality he's not, that could favor MMA depending on what Stardust chooses because of this.
Yeah, he might have the wrong build based on the current meta and the way he's thinking his opponent's going to approach the game.
But MMA taking no risks, does not want to lose game number 2, going down 0-2 in this best of 5.
I think if he's down 0-2, there's no way he's going to recover.
And that's a massive surprise, considering a lot of people are expecting MMA to win this.
Well, MMA, big fan favorite out there. So I think a lot of people really support him that way. But Stardust obviously popular and has supporters as well, but you cannot count Stardust out.
No, you cannot.
I've casted too many tournaments where he's doing way too well, and I'm thinking that's not going to work, and then he kills him. So.
Stardust is very good at that.
Yes.
MMA's still piling up gas right now, and this is a little bit different to normally a standard Reaper
he's at 350 now.
Gas?
Excuse me. He's at 112 gas. He's at 400 minerals.
So with a reactor now, he can actually build a factory very fast, with gas still coming in, which means he's going to be the one putting the pressure onto Stardust in the earlier stages. And this isn't that common here. This will surprise Stardust. And is he even going to get any scouting intel? That's also another thing. Does Stardust even know this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, he could be completely in the dark.
Oh, and he's going to lose his probe, so yeah,
all right, the probe is shot down. This is a very uncomfortable position now.
Stardust knows, obviously, it's a Reaper opening because you've seen the Reaper, but he doesn't know what the follow-up is.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if it's a factory or barracks setup.
Okay, the Reaper is coming up now. Let's see what intel he can get from this. Mothership Core is going to try to zone out the Reaper.
The Reaper's going to run away.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to back up. So good zoning there from Stardust.
Yeah, so the factory opening, it can be a couple of different things. Can be Hellions, but more commonly it's mines into the mineral lines and then try to destroy your opponent's economy and look to win the game that way. And it's a Twilight Council, which isn't a robotics facility, which isn't any detection. Yeah. So if it is Widow Mines, then Stardust could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he might have gone down the wrong road here. We have that Stalker coming out, trying to get rid of that SCV. And again, a funny spot for Stardust. He's completely in the dark.
He is. It's going to be Hellions, though. But this is also, it doesn't really matter which you choose, Widow Mines or Hellions. They're very dangerous. You need a lot of units out here. If he does the same build as previous, where he goes Blink and then switches into Double Forge Robo, he might as well kiss this game away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that build's already a little bit risky. because you're really investing so much into the late game, you're not always able to defend everything. Okay, he comes up here, and he actually sees it. MMA is in great shape now.
Yep, he knows exactly what he's up against. Blink will not be done by the time this attack hits, but it will be for a counter-attack. So MMA does need to make sure that he does deal damage here. If he doesn't deal damage, he doesn't have stim, he doesn't have combat shield, and a massive Blink Stalker counter-attack could end the game as well. So as good as MMA is in a position, he also needs to make sure he gets damage done.
You made a great point, Apollo, because with Blink Stalker, you know, a moment of overextension when you know, you're using Blink Stalkers, if your opponent overextends, you can not only take them out, but then go all the way back and actually kill them.
Yep, and that's a massive part for this game here. But still, Stardust does not know about this happening, so he's completely in the dark. The Marines are ready to go, the Hellions are ready here as well. And now we're going to see the switch up to get the Tech Labs ready for stim, ready for combat shield. So there is a window where MMA is weak, but if he deals a lot of damage, it doesn't even matter that he's weak and doesn't have these upgrades.
That's very true.
All right.
Okay, he's coming down now. So he has the luxury of dropping in the second base that we have a shot of right here.
Stardust has no vision out on the map. He's just in his pocket in the corner.
He is.
And he's gone for the same build, the Robo and Double Forge. He's only got one gateway.
Yeah, he's playing single player right now, man. This is, he might be surprised here. Let's see how quickly he can react.
He does have Photon Overcharge and 3 Stalkers, but...
Oh, okay, you know, he spots this. MMA trying to be sneaky, but here come the Hellions now. 4 Stalkers, Nexus Cannon activated, but it looks like he'll just go up the ramp. The probes are being pulled out, but no probes gun. Oh, okay, just 2 probes gunned down there.
He missed a massive chance there to kill almost all the probes, but he didn't hit it.
Oh my God, that was a disaster. Well, now he can clean up these Hellions. The medevac was actually full of Marines, so he can't pick up these Hellions now.
6 probes is good, but he could have killed 15 to 20
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely. Which was the whole function of the attack, by the way.
Yeah, that was not a success. Some workers. It was not a success.
Okay, so far in this series, it seems like MMA is having a difficult time with engagements.
Yeah, that was a big opportunity missed there.
Okay, he's dropping over here again now.
He could lose.
Oh my God. Okay.
Blink is done.
Okay. This that was not so much a drop as that was like a gift wrapped present for him. I mean, he's like, here, have some of these.
Yeah.
A medevac and these Marines. This is going very poorly for MMA. It's interesting because the strategies MMA is doing are good. They're smart. I don't disagree with them. But it's the execution. It's when the 2 armies engage each other that he's handling it quite poorly.
He didn't get completely blocked. He did manage to kill some probes, so the direct counterattack isn't there. But it's the Double Forge that's kicking in. It's the Warp Prison that's coming out and the Dark Shrine.
And let's point this out, too. On paper, that attack that MMA was going for against the current tech that Stardust had, MMA was supposed to do so much more damage.
Yeah.
But then when they got there, he just miscontrolled everything.
All right, well, he's going to slow this command center down. As MMA moves out in a couple of seconds with stim and so on, there's going to be a Warp Prism that's going to be warping DT. No, he's not going to get the cancel.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Not so good.
That was close. A nice pickup here by MMA. And he just blinks away again. Stardust is really on top of his stuff. Those 4 Stalkers actually doing so much damage.
He's getting ready to warp in DTs now as well, while defending with Stalkers, Colossus, and Mothership Core with the Photon Overcharge.
1-1 just finished, by the way.
Yeah. Very good setup.
I think from here, Stardust might want to just go back and defend a little bit.
Yep. If he just defends his 2 bases while dropping DTs and Zealots, it's a big, big win for Stardust. He's behind his supply, but he's in a defensive stance. As long as MMA doesn't kind of break the numbers here.
Beyond having that command center forced to cancel, if he's warping DTs in like we see here, that's going to be less mules because of all the scans. And also note the position here of MMA's army. That is very far away from home.
How much does Stardust really have at home, though, to help defend? That's going to be important. He's got a Colossus and a second one on its way. 2 Colossus is fine. This drop is pretty big, though.
Okay, he's bringing the Zealots and the DTs over here. Let's see if he actually splits these. Oh, excuse me, it's just 1 DT and 3 Zealots.
Yeah, and the second one now being warped in. And MMA is going to try and attack at the same time this is going on, but he's taking a lot of losses back at home.
Well, is MMA going to dive in and just try to take him out?
Into 2 Colossus and Force Fields?
Is he going to go back home and Stardust will get a bigger and bigger lead?
Especially because he's got 2-2 on the way at this point, and MMA's only just now working on 1-1, and DTs are still around. This is a beautiful counter by Stardust.
Again, MMA, Just moving back and forth.
He's killed so many SCVs.
Yeah. MMA is just standing outside of Stardust base, but he can't engage in yet. And it looks like now, yeah, MMA takes out the rest of that. And here's something going well for MMA. He does force a cancel there.
Yeah.
So
that is nice, but he's going to get pushed back soon with 2 Colossus and hopefully a 3rd very shortly. The upgrades are so big in this game for Stardust. He may not have the army size, but he will do soon.
Well, we have again these upgrades finishing, which is just so bad. Stardust is really looking bulletproof throughout this series. He's not missing a beat. But maybe MMA can make something work. If Stardust moves out maybe too soon, that would be a blunder. There's one thing that could happen.
Exactly right, Tasteless. If he moves out and is in the open against so many units that MMA has, Stardust can still lose this.
But, well, as we say that, speak of the devil, he's coming out right now.
And that's the worst position to be in.
He has to get back.
He's just got to play it safe. He's winning this game. He doesn't need to lose.
Do you think he's going to pick up and try to drop somewhere and get that army out of position? Because that's something else he could possibly do. You drop somewhere at the Stalkers?
Starcraft wizard.
I'm a Starcraft warlock. It's possible that he could drop, because what happens when you drop, let's say in the second base?
Yeah.
The Stalkers are the first thing to go.
And that's exactly what Stardust is looking for. He's got a hallucinated Phoenix there, just in case that was to happen.
Because the Stalkers will pick up and leave, and then what you do is you just run in and kill everything. Okay, and he's going to get another cancel. I don't think Stardust can actually come down the ramp here.
He's going to try. Widowmine's helping here. Great spread from MMA.
Yeah, really good.
And he gets the cancel. That is a nice little bonus there for MMA to hopefully catch up in this game.
Stardust actually supply blocked right now at 132 at 124.
So he builds 6 pylons.
I think MMA is starting to pick this back up.
Yes, he is. He just needs to build a lot of Vikings now, because there's Colossus in the game. You need Vikings to kill Colossus, Tasteless.
Yeah, they're pretty good against those. What with Colossus not being able to shoot at air.
If only they could.
If only they could.
And this game would be very easy.
Yeah.
3-3 about to complete for Stardust very soon. MMA still only on 1-1 upgrades. The Zealots just simply won't die.
No, certainly not. It'll take forever to kill. Okay, he's going to move out now. MMA was not quite on top of his army there. He's now backing up. Colossi continuing to move forward. Some force fields. Not too helpful there.
MMA's going to try to cancel this 3rd again. And this is a nice pickup. He will get this. That's a lot of Marauders.
Yep. Nicely done.
Very good at keeping Stardust on 2 bases here.
Stardust is getting way too behind here. He needs to get a 3rd base up and running.
Vikings definitely need to start, though. There's very few.
We're finally seeing Vikings.
Stardust is going to hit the sickest 2-base 3-3 timing, Tasteless. We never see this.
Well, Stardust is now moving out on the map. He had to. He has to do something right now. But I don't think Stardust is going to be able to attack in here. I think with the MMA's army being as big as he is, Stardust might want to eventually move back. The center of this map is pretty wide open. You're going to have an arc that's bigger than your screen of Terran units surrounding you and hitting you and dealing so much damage.
If MMA gets to a high Viking count and continues to get to 2-2 here, he's going to be getting better and better in this game to take a fight. But right now, Stardust is very strong. He just doesn't have that many units. And like you said, if a good arc from MMA comes out, it's going to be hard to utilize the splash damage from the Colossus.
Well, he's got a small number of Vikings here with his army. And we have a Templar Archives coming up. That'll definitely be necessary against a maxed out Terran army. You need to get some blanketed storms out.
Yeah, MMA's played very well to get back into this game. Very well.
Which is great, because earlier on in this game, his initial attack was a disaster when he didn't get any of those probes.
The upgrade advantage that Stardust has got is gonna leave this game soon. 2-2's gonna complete, and then of course MMA can work on 3-3. And it's always the threat of counterattacks and drops that is really keeping Stardust away from just attacking.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna be able to take out this medevac. Nicely done. Terran also, oh no, he's actually gonna pull back, excuse me. Terran's pulling,
it's a lot of Vikings though.
Yeah, it's a serious amount of Vikings.
And Ghosts in the mix as well, coming in. 3 Ghosts, 2-2 will
This
complete.
is gonna come down to these two armies engaging and you know, does he get the Vikings in the right angles to take out the Colossi? We'll have to see.
It's a lot of army here for Stardust, but there's a lot of Vikings. Once these Colossus go down, and with 2-2 now finished for MMA, he's in much better position than he was a few minutes ago.
And Stardust is engaging. He's pushing forward. We see MMA going up the ramp
now. There's 3 Ghosts he can EMP from that position.
A scan here to survey the situation. The Vikings are coming in. And it looks like he's targeting down the Colossi really nicely. 2 go down and a 3rd shortly after.
Fantastic fight here from MMA. Once the Colossus go down, there's no real damage left.
And you can see, even though there's been plenty of Colossus volleys shot out, there was just such a large army there from MMA. He managed to take all this out. He's now chasing a humiliated Stardust army across the map.
That was brilliant. That was so very good from MMA, considering how far he was behind earlier on, to continue to deny the 3rd, to slow Stardust down, to get ready for the eventual attack that was going to happen soon. And he dealt with it. That was perfect.
Very nicely done. We could have this game go to 1-1, or this series go to 1-1, rather.
Vikings landing as MMA's coming in to try and close this one up now. Not too sure if he can do it, but he's got a good shot at it.
He's backing up now. Just over there by the Nexus. And I was about to say, he has the opportunity with the number of medevacs he has to pick up and plop his army down in an expansion. He's going to do that right over here.
And there is nothing.
Well, this is... The 1 Colossi is definitely not the answer to this. And you can see he was debating whether or not he was going to get the Colossus or try to get the Nexus here. And things are falling apart right now for Stardust.
And he's starting to lose a lot of units on his 2nd base, on his 3rd base. And MMA, this is a great game to not lose or start to lose 0-2, to come back and show his resilience against Stardust. I think we're going to be in for a very good rest of this series here. But Stardust now just on struggling with really 1 base, since his main base is mined out now, while MMA is setting up his 4th. He's adding on more production. He's about to get 3-3 as well. So
the only thing I could say is that Stardust's supply is not that far behind.
Yeah.
But you can see here his army's too weak. For instance, most of this is going to be cleaned up.
There's no splash damage.
Yeah, well, the Archons are popping out now, but they already took so much damage before they finished.
And if MMA deflects this attack, he'll win the game. There's one last little push left in Stardust.
Yeah, let's not count Stardust out, actually. I think we might be dismissing him a little bit too quickly here. He is coming across the map here, and their supplies are frighteningly close.
Yeah, if that Colossus goes down, that's the big damage dealer here. SCV's coming in to help out. The Colossus being microed back
still
well
alive,
enough,
but I think everything is thinned out too much here.
And 14 army supply here for Stardust to 51 of MMA. And there goes that last Colossus. And MMA on 4 bases here with this up and running. This planetary is looking in good shape. Stardust struggling with income now.
I don't blame Stardust for doing that counterattack, but when you lose all your Colossi like that, it's bad. You're back to square one, and those Colossi increment out of the Robo. It's not like you can warp in a bunch of them. So there it is. GG. He taps out.
Yeah, he realizes, and well played there by MMA. Good series so far by both.
Yeah.
And good to see that
I was a little worried for MMA for a little bit.
Yeah.
With that bumpy attack in at the start of that game with the Hellions.
If he'd hit that strike onto the probes, that would have been huge. It would have been point.
But he managed to pull through anyways. Here was here's our map. It is Deadwing. This is certainly a map you could proxy something on.
Definitely, but so far, Stardust is playing the complete opposite to what we thought he would.
Yeah, he's standard dust right now. In the upper right, in the blue, he is Stardust. And in the bottom right, in the red, he is MMA.
Who would you like to see if both of these were in the finals of Blizzcon? Who would you like to see lift the trophy? Would you like to see MMA?
I think it'd be cool to see MMA do it again. What about you?
Yeah, I think the same. It's for MMA. When he won BlizzCon back in 2011, it's been the most special moment of his entire career.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
repeat that again, I think would that's magical, really.
Well, and that's a bit unheard of too.
Yeah.
To do something like that. Although I would say MMA, I would not put high on the list of people I would ever expect to be in the finals. Not because he's bad, but because we have some players like, Zest or...
Right, and I mean, the winner of this plays Bomber, so...
Yeah, you have to go through Bomber first. Who do you think has a better chance of beating Bomber out of these two, Stardust or MMA? Because I would say Stardust, for me personally, I think could beat Bomber.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, that one, really. I mean, I think the games would be epic, MMA versus Bomber. I think the series would be wild, but I think Stardust could have an easier chance.
It would be fun to see MMA against Bomber.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to cast. I've been casting GSL all year, so I haven't seen a TVT in a long time. But that would be cool to see, too.
All right, so Reaper opening from MMA on this big map here. Wanting to get that scouting information once again and use that Reaper to figure out what he's playing against, like he did in the previous game, but he didn't in the first game, remember? And then Stardust just very standard here with his opening. But yeah, massive map here, so it's very easy to take 3-4 bases, and they're both going to be in this pocket of, you know, their side of the map. MMA pockets himself to the bottom right and Stardust to the top right. And if we don't see major aggression in the early mid stages, this will more than likely be a very long game.
Yeah, especially on a map like this. Okay, so here's that command center. And we have a Nexus over here.
And MMA's building gas again. I mean, he's building up the gas count. Is he going to attempt the same build he tried previously? It looks like it currently.
He could. Well, think about it. That build he did, he got into that base. No problem. The mistake was how he controlled his army. But if he can do it again and he gets in there, and he actually deals even more damage, surely he would have an even greater chance of winning. So I don't see this as a bad idea. If that's the route he chooses to go down.
It looks like it with the factory coming in, of course. And we'll see if he... I mean, he can still choose Widow Mines from this position too, so we don't know exactly what it can be, but his Reaper sees that this is the same opening as previous as well, and he'll want to keep that Reaper alive to see if he can see that Twilight Council again. See if he knows exactly what's up.
Well, we have the Stalkers coming up. What if he just doesn't cheese this whole series?
Then we have to change him from Cheese Dust to Standard Dust.
Standard
like
Dust, yeah. That's right.
Standust.
Standard Dust.
And it is the Twilight Council.
All right, so yeah, the Twilight's coming up here. Stardust has been very confident with this build so far. I assume he's just going to get Blink again, send out the 3 Stalkers, try to control the Terran outside of his base.
It's Widow Mines this time, though.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So he's going to switch it up a little bit.
Well, this might even be better.
Yeah?
I mean, if he doesn't have any detection, there's nothing he can do.
It's going to be very frustrating to try and get rid of the Widow Mines. The only way to deal with them, obviously, is if he kills them before they burrow, but that's incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah, certainly.
No Starport, though. So he's just got 1 Widow Mine, and he's not looking to kind of drop the Widow Mines or anything. So maybe just walk up and try to plant it in the middle line or use this defensively. He hasn't scouted if there is a robotics facility or Twilight, though.
The weird thing about it is that with Stalkers out on the map, the odds of the Widow Mine being gunned down, okay, you can't pick it up in a medevac. Even if you burrow it, the Stalkers can wait at a distance, and when it unburrows, just blink on top of it.
Yeah.
So this seems a little bit dicey, what he's trying to do.
And Stardust has not chosen the robotics facility straight after the Twilight. This time he's chosen an additional gateway. We'll see if he tries to out on a couple more.
I'm really curious about the story with this Widow Mine. This is really interesting. Is he just going to try to slip it up with the Reaper?
Drag the Stalkers with the Reaper to the main base and then try to plant this in. The robotics facility is very late, so if this works...
Yeah, if he gets in there...
I mean, the Stalkers are chasing the Reaper.
I guess this is a very straightforward strat. Okay, he gets it over there, he burrows it. And this is a problem now for this expansion.
And he gets a kill in the main base with the Reaper as well.
We don't really see this used that often.
No, this
is... I feel like this shouldn't work, but then again, people aren't really using it at this level.
It's very difficult to pull off.
Yeah. At the same time, it's also just a very basic concept.
Right.
Okay, so he picked off the Reaper.
And he got a lot of scouting information, by the way, MMA. He saw the 3 gateways instead of the fast robotics facility. He's got a lot of intel from this. Very simple move. Oh.
Well, he'll be able to take that out pretty soon. We do have the Colossus tech beginning.
But this time MMA's chosen 2 barracks into a much faster Medivac style here. So he's going to have Medivacs in this game a lot sooner than normal. So he's going to be able to plant the units into the main base here. So if Stardust doesn't have the right amount of units, he'll be in trouble.
Yeah, he certainly could be.
Here
comes that drop, Apollo. He's coming over here to the upper right.
And the Mothership Cores already used 1 photon overcharge, remember, to deal with the Widow Mine. So he won't have a second one for reserve.
And back at home for MMA, he's just gearing up, macroing up as much as he possibly can. We have these medevacs coming up on the right side.
This is pretty
How much
big.
damage is this going to do? Look at this. This is beautiful. Perfect spot for him to drop.
But
will he use that?
Either way, this is a really good position.
He might think there's a
for
pylon
MMA.
there.
Yeah. He may indeed.
So The medevacs are coming around. Okay, he sees the corner of them, and here we go again. He's probably going to be able to take out this Forge.
That's pretty big. He's going to get a lot of probes. The Forge is vulnerable as well. A very good drop here, and this is unexpected. Brilliant.
Looks like he's actually confident enough to engage the army before he fully finishes that Forge off.
He's got a Winter Mine planted in there, too, if the probes come back, and he doesn't realize.
Yeah, let's see if he does pull the probes back. We have an observer going over there?
Does he realize that got planted? Yeah,
okay, he's going to see it, no matter what.
So a nice little drop there from MMA, and he's going to continue this. He's got another set of medevacs ready to go in the center of the map, so he's going to drop in the main base and the natural at the same time here.
You know, most of the time, Protosses should be able to hold just 2 bases with Terran dropping him, but the build that Stardust is picking, he's pretty vulnerable even just on 2 base.
Double Forge, this is the reason why it isn't that popular right now. You don't have many units to deal with these type of attacks.
And yes, Blink Stalkers can nab the medevacs, but if it's just a handful of them, especially early on, it doesn't matter. You drop out your units and just kill the Blink Stalkers. So let's see how he's going to handle the next few drops.
All right, he's got 4 medevacs. He can pick up all of this right now. He's got a larger army supply. All the army for Stardust is on the natural. Scan sees that. Where is he going to go? Does he want to pick up? Oh, there's an observer there. I don't think he realizes, though.
Yeah, he probably should have scanned his army. Right, but you pretty much always want to scan your army right before you do something like pick up everything and go for their base. So he decides to turn around.
But a good game here from MMA. Definitely gained himself a lead via these drops. And he's got a lot of production in that 3rd command center finished up as well.
For the time being, it seems like MMA just wants to patrol around the outside of the base, and he's waiting for any opportunity where he sees a hole in the defenses or a stray unit he can pick off. Nice job there, scanned that, took out the observer. That's going to make it much harder for Stardust to actually be prepared for any kind of attack.
And notice...
What is it? What's the deal with... Is he hoping to catch a warp prism?
Yeah. Notice how MMA's got a faster 2nd starport here. Throughout the day, Stardust has been choosing heavy Colossus. He's going to rise that Viking count really early in this game to surprise Stardust. Yeah. And if he doesn't make a fast switch into Templar Archives, which he would need to do against that, he's going to take a fight on that 3rd base, and he may not be able to hold it. This is a good change and adaptation from MMA as the series grows longer.
I really like it. It is, again, a bit weird that Stardust is doing the same build over and over again.
Yeah, I mean...
but MMA is just adapting to it.
Yeah, and he may even pull SCVs with this, like we've seen so often.
Yeah. Each game, MMA is actually doing better against Stardust than the game before him.
And I think after this game, Stardust may need to change up from this greedy style of opening, which he's been using a lot, because now MMA's on top of it. It was a longer game in Game 2, but now Game 3... much more convincing for MMA. Very high supply count, lots of Vikings. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some SCVs with this as well to capitalize and break down that 3rd base.
I think that would not be a bad call if he were to take the SCVs with him. The upgrades have completed. He's pulling the boys.
He's pulling the boys.
He's pulling the boys.
They're ready to fight.
The SCVs are coming out now.
And there's so few units there for Stardust. Once the Colossus die, there's nothing there.
Well, let's see if he can hang on. He's going to have to use the angling of the map and everything else, positioning of buildings to try to make this army less effective. The SCV is coming up here in the front. And you can see so many Vikings right now, and they are shift-clicked on these Colossi. And MMA is just torn through this army. The last Colossi is about to be shot down. Probes being pulled. It's not going to be enough. We have some Zealots and Stalkers being worked in, but with no Colossi behind them, there's just not enough damage for the Protoss to hold on.
Excellent execution here from MMA. Made that one look easy. And he takes a lead. And now just one game away.
Let's talk about
anything you want.
This series. Let's talk about cars. No, let's talk about this series, Apollo. What do you think he needs to do from here? Stardust?
He needs to change up his build now.
Yeah,
it's become way too exposed. He's playing this greedy style of double forge and very fast Twilight and robotics facility, and MMA really dealt with it well in that 3rd game. He dealt damage before Stardust was up and running, and this is the very moment where he started to deal damage. Killing 6 probes this early is a big deal. Getting rid of the armor upgrade is a big deal as well, and a couple of loose units as well.
Imagine that last battle with the armor upgrade.
Could be used, but he just hasn't used any Stardust this time.
Here's our map. It's going to be Catalina.
Great Terran map. Great Terran map.
certainly is, and that's why I'm really interested in seeing what does Stardust have in store for us here. In the upper right, in the blue, we have our Protoss player, Stardust.
The crowd goes wild.
In the center left, in the red, he is MMA.
All right, perfect map to close this up on now for MMA, but Stardust really needs to make some big changes here. One of the biggest interesting points of this map, Catalina, is that the main base has a huge space in it. There's a lot of airspace and there's a massive ramp around it, which makes drops very, very good because he can come from multiple angles, but it also makes Blink Stalker attacks pretty good as well.
Say, yeah, Blink can be very strong in any main where there's a lot of area that you could blink up into.
But will Stardust be able to identify a potential weakness to exploit to gain an advantage early? Otherwise, we're going to see a longer game where MMA seems to be excelling in now, which has changed, as you mentioned at the start of the day. His attacks and execution were a little bit weaker, but he's completely reversed that now and is playing very, very well.
If Stardust does this build again, I don't know what to say. It's funny because it worked so well in game number 1, and
yeah,
I mean, one thing about RTS games is you have to be unpredictable for your opponent. You know, you can't get away with just anything in Starcraft 2, but if you're doing the same build over and over and over, you can eventually hard counter it.
Right.
And all we're seeing is this...
that happening right now with Stardust.
Yeah, exactly.
You're such a good commentator, Tasteless. You're calling all these shots. You can see the game.
I'm everywhere. Well, you know, for this game, I do wonder if Stardust, you know, just does that standard strat again, though. What was his bigger game plan?
Pulling off that... Let's just imagine if he did play the same greedy style. This is not the map to do it on if he tried. There's too much open space. There's a massive area around his main to be exploited in.
Yeah, he could be dropped really hard there.
Very easily for MMA. MMA, by the way, is saving gas again after the Reaper. You can save 50 to add on the reactor and then switch up and then take out a gas, but he's banking up gas again. He's going to use a factory opening once more.
Well, I think you can't blame MMA for doing a build like this, getting the Reaper, especially when he's so close to closing this out, as long as he doesn't get caught off guard. And so that Reaper's going to come out now.
And just like the open base is very good for drops, it's very good for Reapers as well. They can come in from any direction and any angle. It's hard to deny the Reaper.
All right, looks like he's actually going to get a probe. Nicely done. And the Reaper should be able to get out of here.
Probe kills with Reapers, very uncommon.
Yeah, it doesn't normally happen. So he's managed to pull out.
There's the factory. So he has, again, a couple of chances. Does he want to walk a Widow Mine up now? Does he want to go for the Hellion style again? Does he want to drop Widow Mines? If that Reaper gets a second kill...
Oh, wow. This could be really bad. It looks like he's actually going to get that second kill, and he's going to pull out again.
Wow, this is terrible for Stardust.
Stardust is not...
2 probes already.
Yeah, this is actually a bit unbelievable. It's not the easiest thing in the world to use the Mothership Core to zone out the Reaper, but...
This is not good. Not a good start for Stardust.
No. Well, that factory is done now, and the starport started.
Oh, he's going to drop the Widow Mines this time.
You know what? Why not? Stardust has done this build 3 times in a row already. If he does it again, and all MMA has been doing is making little tweaks to his build to respond to it, he could just drop a Widow Mine in there, and it would be even more effective than the other game.
Well, there is a robotics facility coming in for Stardust, so he is going to have the, observer and detection out to spot this maybe, if the drop was to come in. But if the observers aren't in position or he doesn't have enough out, this can still do damage.
Yeah, the Reaper's coming down now. He wants to check for any proxy pylons or anything else weird that could happen.
If this drop plants and does damage, that's MMA's ticket to Blizzcon.
I think so. And also, again, a very weird situation if, Stardust, the player we've been following throughout the entire year, when it comes to this final game, this final series, I should say, before he goes to Blizzcon, and not playing like the Stardust that we know. Yeah,
it's a loss in the round of 16 here for any player is really big, and I'm sure Jaedong's already feeling that, and the loser of this as well. Definitely not as greedy opening here from Stardust. He's only got 1 forge. He's going to be focused a little bit more on kind of dealing with what could come. But if he doesn't stop this drop, if he takes damage from this, like I said, it could be MMA's ticket.
And it would be a pretty straightforward win from there. If that's how he beats Stardust, I guess that's how it goes down. The drop's coming up here. There's no observer out. Yep.
Is his reaction's going to be good? This is a Medivac without boost currently. He's not reacting yet.
Okay, so he gets the Widow Mine over there. Triggers the Nexus Cannon. Stalkers are going to be ready to engage this Medivac here.
So good defense from Stardust. That is good.
Yeah. So that drop, not impactful. Stardust handled that just fine.
Yep, and that as long as he doesn't take any damage from this Medivac that still has potential in it.
This is one of the funny things about this map is there's such a giant cavity in the upper right. You can actually just keep your Medivacs there and drop whenever you want.
And we've known throughout the ages that MMA loves his Medivac drops.
Yeah. Okay, so he's getting Blink now.
Yeah, Blink, and he's got the Robotics Bay. No Colossus started yet. Sure, that's going to happen very soon. Squeezes in another Sentry first, so it's going to be a little bit delayed for his first Colossus to come out. It's kind of waiting to see if this drop comes in again from a different angle.
It's not going to work, looks like. He backs up with that Medivac.
Yeah, and MMA, of course, has a backup plan. He's got his 3 barracks down. He's got Stim on the way, +1 attack on the way. His next choice, I was about to say, if it's going to be additional barracks for more units, for more pressure, or if he wants to try and go for a 3rd command center faster. He's got a 2nd Medivac coming in now.
Possible overextension. I guess there's just not enough Stalkers there. He could start to try to fight them off. He picks up, he backs out, and for a little bit there, those 4 Marines were actually doing some damage because there wasn't quite enough Stalkers there.
Luckily, no probes lost, though.
MMA needs to be a bit careful here because these drops are so small, they can't do a lot of damage, but if he loses the Medivac with the Marines in it when they're trying to leave, he certainly could be in a lot more trouble.
That's right, especially with 5 additional gateways coming in. Stardust is going to have a lot of power in the next couple of minutes here.
Well, he's still sticking with this. He's going to come up here, try to gun down some probes, and again, no kills just there.
Pretty much perfect defense from Stardust, though. Didn't lose a single probe yet in this game, despite the aggression coming out from MMA.
If you're not losing workers, these drops are basically not doing anything.
But he did lose 2 probes to the Reaper.
That's true. Good way for him to make up, though, now, right? So he's got the defense that MMA does not have an answer to. There's nothing really that MMA can do at this point in time with the cannons. He's got the Nexus Cannon ready, the Stalkers. Blink is moments away from getting done. So from here, it looks like he'll just regroup, probably take a 3rd push out. He might try to do some kind of a contain.
Yep. And maybe look and hope for Stardust kind of out of position, then drop the main base or something.
Stardust tries to poke out and he picks up with 4 Medivacs full of units, drops it in the main, and tries to do damage there.
And you can really see how Stardust is playing very cautious right now. Lots of units, Blink defensively, cannons being added on, not moving out too early. He's kind of taking his time. He knows if he makes a mistake, he's eliminated here in the round of 16. So a very tense moment for Stardust, but MMA's chosen to lift up all 4 Medivacs worth of units here, and there's no observer, if I'm not mistaken, to the north here. No, there's nothing.
There's nothing up there. So
you only spot it when it lands in the main base. Where's his army going to be?
Ooh, this could be bad. Is his army at the 2nd, I assume?
He could snipe the Nexus with this amount of units? Okay, this is good.
Thank God it's in the main, by the way.
But then as
I say that, he starts to go down the ramp.
He's going to go protect his 3rd baseman. Oh my God, hallucinated Phoenix spots it. A great pickup from Stardust. And he should be able to deflect this without too much damage.
Okay, he for a second was going to target down the Nexus. Now he's trying to fight off these other units, but it's just not enough. He's going to pick up now, and he'll have to evacuate the premise.
Grabs the Forge there, but I think that +1 attack did complete.
Now there's just not enough here. He's going to warp in some more units, and so far MMA not doing the damage needs to do.
Yeah, again, good defense from Stardust.
Although, I wouldn't say that MMA's like losing too much when he's doing this, though. I mean, he's still completely fine.
Yeah, that's the good part of MMA's drops, is that he hasn't just threw the units away. He's been able to preserve them very, very smartly. But I got to credit Stardust here. Really tightened up his defense against MMA. But the Viking count, wow, that's starting to rise up once again.
It's getting pretty serious. He does spot that with that observer, by the way. Our Stardust right now barely on 3 bases. That 3rd Nexus just finished up. But he is going to go for the Templars, and I think that's exactly what he needs. He needs some good storms here because MMA is getting pretty scary. We're at that point of time in the game where there are some SCV pulls are becoming an option. Oh my God. Okay, he's going to move out.
Stardust is so out of position here.
This is so bad for Stardust. And the Vikings are actually doing a lot of damage to the Colossi. The Colossi actually bumping into that Vespian Gas Geyser. Meanwhile, this drop up here is huge. The Zealot's taking forever to come around the side here. Vikings are still doing more damage to the Colossi.
Oh, his army's just so uncoordinated. The Zealots go alone. The Stalkers are out of position.
This is a complete
the Colossus.
disaster right now.
Terrible.
He picks up. That could not have gone worse. For Stardust there. In fact, he's going to lose another Colossus here.
Yeah, great drop by MMA.
Yeah, really a good choice. The moment you see him move out like that, you know what, he's going to do it again here.
Oh my God,
it.
just exploiting the weakness of Protoss on this map. Look at this Gateway Army so slow to come up here to defend.
Uh-oh. And he takes out that Artosis pylon, and no more gates powered over there. He picks up, he looks like he debated for a second actually dropping back down, but instead he's going to regroup over here with the rest of his army.
Yeah, and that Templar Archives, as you pointed out, is huge in this game, but he cannot use it right now. He's under way too much pressure. He's taking attacks left and right. This is a very sticky situation here for Stardust. He's trying to recover, trying to rebuild that army that he's lost so much of. And MMA just destroying him there positionally.
I think MMA should be able to win this, Apollo. When you lose that many Colossi, maybe you spend the whole game making that army.
He's trying to rebuild them, but it's just a simple Gateway Army currently.
And this gives so much more flexibility to MMA to make Vikings or Medivacs. He has the freedom to play this however he wants.
Yeah, he's looking to catch another Colossus here. Kind of zoning out that ramp while dropping at the back.
Oh my gosh, going to go for the Forge here right before armor finishes. A huge blow to Stardust. And it's still more and more damage being dealt. There's actually another attack over here at the front. Colossus goes down. And MMA, I love that he knows when to engage, but he also knows when to retreat. He knows when to pull out.
He's looking great. He's confident. His moves are very clean cut. Everything he's doing currently is just beating Stardust, as simple as that is. And Stardust just behind in supply, trying to squeeze out Storm now, but it's good if you can land the Storm, but
it's really just too late.
There's so many units here for MMA now.
I mean, Storm is only so good if you have enough other units with it in combination.
Yeah.
Because even if you have a bunch of great Storms off, if there's nothing else there to kill the remainder of that damaged army.
I mean, just look at the production tab there that's been highlighted. It's a Colossus and Forge and Archon versus everything else that MMA is building.
Yeah.
The supply count is 170 to 126.
Well, MMA is going to try and engage in here. And I'm actually a little bit surprised that Stardust is coming down the ramp, since this gives more space for MMA to actually spread out his army.
It looks like this is the fight that MMA is going to win that takes him to BlizzCon.
Yeah, it looks like MMA is going to win this fight, and he will once again be playing at BlizzCon.
Yeah, 2-2's about to complete, which is just salt on the wound here for Stardust. He's down. Look at his army. It doesn't even exist properly. And MMA, just a wonderful series here, a wonderful last.
It doesn't even exist properly.
Look at this, Tasteless. It's over. This is MMA going to BlizzCon.
It's not there, yes. So we have a huge drop coming up here. And he's just going to hit the main really hard here.
Yeah. Shooting range. We are in America after all, Tasteless, and MMA cleans up what's left of Stardust.
I think we're going to be having GG any second here. This game is done. GG MMA is going to BlizzCon.
Our second player after Bomb. A fantastic series from MMA. A little bit shaky at the start, Tasteless.
Yeah.
But he changed it around and was looking very good the longer that series drew out.
It was interesting, actually, seeing Stardust not cheese.
Yeah, he didn't once. Not once.
He didn't once, yeah.
Not once there.
Although I liked the build he started out with. It was really cool. But you know, the danger of being in a best of 5 or a best of 7 or anything where you have plenty of games to play is that you have to mix up your style.